The first cultivar we're going to be looking at today is Lane. Lane was our first release after I took over the breeding program. It was selected to be an early season black self-fertile cultivar. Up until its release, there really weren't very many self-fertile early black cultivars. Generally, if you wanted early and black, you had to go for things like Sugargate, which are female, or Supreme. If you go in and pick the early berries off of Supreme, you can get some early market. Lane is different from those, one, because it is self-fertile and doesn't need a pollinizer, and two, because it is consistently early and much earlier than something like Supreme. We selected it. It's a cross between Supreme and Terra. We generally start picking it in the last week of July in Tifton, Georgia, or in the first week of August. This is August 14, and you can see at this stage nearly all the berries are ripe and pickable. Comparably, something like Supreme is probably about 50% ripe at this point in time. As you look at this vine, one thing you'll notice is it's not a super vigorous vine, and that's probably the biggest drawback of Lane, is it doesn't quite have the vine vigor we would like to see. We'd like to see some more longer tendrils and some more vigorous shoot growth out of it. That makes it a little bit difficult to grow. When you first establish Lane, one of the things you want to do is you want to give it a good amount of fertilizer, and don't let it set many fruit in the second and third year. Let it establish the vine first, and then let it come into production. A lot of these self-fertile varieties, they get kind of carried away in the second year. If you've grown them good and you got them down the wire a good bit, they'll set a lot of clusters that second year, and the vine just isn't ready to take that kind of crop load. And so you're better off removing, maybe not all of them, but remove the majority of those and let the vine fill out in the second year, and then start cropping it in the third year. And then watch it in year 3 and 4. And if you're starting to get a little bit too heavy of a fruit set, and you're getting the chlorotic leaves, come in and thin out these shooting spurs and maybe take every other one out and get about a hand's width distance between the fruiting spurs so that it doesn't set quite the crop load and gets the vine more in balance. Lane is generally a very good eating berry. The Brix is almost always high in Lane, and so that's not a problem. It's a little bit different cultivar than a lot of them. If you pull it off and you bite it in half, you see it's got a very firm flesh in it. It's even firmer than like a plum's flesh. And the skin really sticks to the berry and doesn't squirt out like some of the other berries do. So it's a little bit different eating experience than some of the others. And that firm flesh is coming from the Supreme parent. What I would say to do with Lane is you want it maybe as an early season black cultivar, and then transition into Supreme as your main, or Palk as your main season black cultivars. I would probably plant no more than 1/4 of your black acres to Lane, and maybe a little bit less. The lack of vine vigor does kind of worry me with this cultivar. But it is one of the earliest things out there, and so if you're looking for something to get on the market early and get that black color out early, Lane is your best bet.